This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get more concrete evidence that continues to show PlayStation moving away from putting their single-player games on PC. We finally get an update on State of Decay 3. Man, it's been a long time. Naughty Dog is brought back into the spotlight over some rumors that we will definitely discuss. It could be very, very promising. And Mortal Kombat developer NetherRealm Studios has begun work on their next project. All of these stories can be found here and more in episode 280 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Keon Mitchell, and welcome to the show. Come on in, sit down, and relax, because we are going to have a great conversation today. And if you're traveling, hopefully we can accompany you to your destination. Now, with that being said, if you want to be a part of listener feedback, which is definitely coming up on Sunday, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 667-284-9057 to let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is simply the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. So what I want to do is, y'all saw the question. We got to start with the question of the week, and I think it is an interesting one. Let's go over it officially. So, will GTA6 sell more Series S consoles? Now, I know in your mind you're probably saying, why would he ask that question? It's simple. The Series S is the cheapest console on the market right now. I looked over at GameStop, and GameStop actually has, and now the specs are not good, but they have a 512 gigabyte all digital Series S for $400. $400. Now, if you had asked me even a year ago, would I even consider? Now, I'm gonna tell you, I still wouldn't consider getting a Series S for no $400. But I'm thinking the regular average consumer. Here it is. We are in an environment where PlayStation 5, their cheapest model is $600. $600. All the way up to $900. $600 to $900, man.
Y'all killing me with this.
It is absolutely ridiculous how high these consoles are. So I'm looking at it from the perspective that if you want to just get into next generation, if you just solely want to be able to play Grand Theft Auto 6, we all know how this works. Most people go to the cheapest option. Most people aren't going to try to go get a Sony TV or a Samsung TV or LG. If they got something cheaper and it looks about the same from the naked eye, then doggone it, give me that. That's $800 cheaper. I will take the cheaper option. I'm still getting the 65-inch screen. It still looks good to me. I'll be able to do what I want to do with the thing. Now, for somebody else who's a TV enthusiast, they would be like, that is the worst option ever. Look at the pixels. Look at the blacks. Look how terrible the picture looks. Another person could be like, man, I ain't worried about none of that. I just want to be able to look at some football, look at some of my movies on a big screen TV. That's all I'm worried about. All of that other stuff that you're talking about, man, forget all that. I just saved $800 for the same kind of experience that I want. And I'm thinking of that from the perspective of a Xbox Series S. Now, the biggest question is, how much of a gap is it going to be between the Series X version and the Series S? And, I mean, for that matter, the PlayStation 5 version as well. I'm pretty sure, I think it's a safe bet to say that the Series S will not even be close to the level of a Series X and a PlayStation 5, because I believe, and I'm sure many of you believe the same thing, that this game is going to push the hardware of this generation. But if you have a person that is solely just trying to get into the door, they're trying to get into the place, and they don't have enough money for a VIP ticket or first row seat tickets, but they just want to be in the building, the Series S, it'll get you in there. You might be in the nosebleeds, but it'll get you in the stadium. You can still experience the game. So I'm thinking of it like this. I think that it could be a very, very good possibility that Microsoft's strategy of having the Series S be the cheaper console, man, this thing just might work out in their doggone favor after all. It blows my mind to think that they are literally in a possible position of selling more Series S's off of one game. One particular game. Especially, again, since these other consoles are so much higher in price. We're talking bare minimum. A person can save $200. $200 to $500 that they can save. I mean, that's, of course, going all the way up to the PlayStation 5 Pro. But still, that's how big the gap is. The Pro is pretty much double. More than double the price of a Series S. I'm going to tell y'all, I just think that if Microsoft, and we know that they have had the worst track record ever when it comes to their, not just their marketing. And marketing is doggone questionable. This is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. Man, you can't do that stuff. You can't do that. Their messaging has been abysmal for the whole generation. These jokers have had horrible messaging, and they have not done well when it comes to advertising. But the good thing is, you do have Asha Sharma that's in there. And I got to say, this young lady has been making some really, really good moves. Since she's got in there, I think she's done quite a bit to give you kind of that feeling of the old Xbox. And I think that with her being in there, new leadership inside of Xbox, maybe, just maybe, they can make this thing shake. I mean, we will definitely see. Of course, you're not going to get the 60 frame. You doggone sure ain't going to get 60. You might barely get 30 frames per second on the Series S. Sure, the textures aren't going to be that great. You can kiss 4K goodbye. All of the bells and whistles, ray tracing. Oh, my gosh. You ain't getting none of that. But you will at least be able to be in the building to play the game. I don't know. I'm curious to know your thoughts. I'm going to go out on a limb. And I'm going to say I think the Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to move a nice amount of Series S's. Because, again, there are more casuals in this space than there are hardcore guys like us. Just like it's far more people like myself that are just regular when it comes to a TV. I'm not out there checking for the 4K bit rate or whatever you call that stuff with the TV. If it looks good, if it says 4K on the box, I understand they be lying and whatnot. But if it looks good in the store, it's good enough for me. the salesman might come up, oh yeah, that's not a bad TV, but you can get something better. Yep, I'm good. This is right in my price range, brother. You say that it's a decent TV. It'll get me what I need. That's cool. That's good. I don't need the bells and whistles. And there are going to be a lot of people out there that are going to say, well, I understand it might not run that good on the Series S, but I just want to play the game. I've been waiting 100 years for this game. And at $400, I would much rather pay that than $600. Ain't no doggone way. I could pay that much for the console and the game combined and still save money versus having to get the PlayStation 5 and paying the $600. Now we're almost at $700 because I'm pretty sure GTA 6 is going to be $80, somewhere around there. So I just think it's a better deal for the regular, average gaming consumer. It's not really tripping over the stuff that us, the hardcore, are. Now listen, I want to get your thoughts. Do you think it's a possibility? I do. I think Xbox might see a bit of an influx. And it's going to be coming out during the holiday. Come on, man. Come on, man. This is a prime moment for Xbox to get out there. And I understand that people say that PlayStation, they got the marketing rights. I don't know if that's true or not. 100%. I don't know. But what I will say is Xbox can do something. What they need to do, and I know that's easy for me to say because I'm on the outside. I don't know how the intricacies of the business work once you're inside of the facility. But me, just on the outside looking in, I would really, really lean into this. If you want to get into next generation, we understand that the prices are very high, but we have the lowest bar to entry. If you just want to get your foot in to next generation, come see us over at Xbox. We have a console for you. It is called the Xbox Series S. And we would absolutely love to have you come on board with us.
What you talking about, Lou?
I'm just saying. I believe this is an opportunity for them to be able to take advantage of this cheap price point. Listen, man, the how do you say it, man? What was I about to say? The economy is shot right now. So, yeah, $400 sounds a whole lot better than some $600 to $900. It is no way you can convince me otherwise. So, I'm curious to know your thoughts. I don't want to harp on this too much longer. But again, the question is, will GTA 6 sell more Series S consoles? Here it is. It ain't even going to be on PC. Now, I highly doubt. You got to be realistic here, pal. I don't think the PC guy, C-Jack, I don't think he's going to be there. I don't think Crimson Phoenix is going to be over there getting no Series S. I don't recommend it. I want to go on record. I don't recommend getting the Series S if you want to get the best performance, just the full experience of what GTA 6 is going to be. But if you're on a budget, then this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect for you if you want to get into next generation on a budget. I'm telling you, Xbox, lean into it. You actually have a bit of an advantage here. Yes, you are the weaker console, but you have the better price, and you're getting all of the next generation third-party games on your console. You got an advantage. Lean into it. But hey, I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. If you want to be a part of the conversation, of course, we actually record listener feedback on Sunday, and you can call in again at 667-284-9057 to let your voice be heard on this matter, or email the show at the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. So with that being said, man, it's going to be an interesting next couple of months. You hear me? It's going to be something. But what I do want to say is how I was telling you guys about Asha Sharma, how I'm just getting such a really, really good feeling about her. And I think she's done such a good job so far in the position. She's done some things. And one of the things that she has done, and I hinted at it last week, but I didn't have the article to really talk about it because it was on my phone and my phone died. So the one thing that really took me back to like 05, 06, well, maybe like 06, 07 Xbox was an article that I got from GameSpot. And it says, Xbox's latest collab lets you slurp your way to rewards. And basically, what you can do is, it says this year marks I'm going to just read the article. It says this year marks the 25th anniversary of Xbox, and as part of its celebration, Microsoft's gaming brand is collaborating with Fanta to offer a very 2001, and I didn't even know that was in there, 2001 coded celebration. Nothing is more 2000s than consuming soft drinks with high levels of sugar. And this team up with the brand will feature a special edition collection of Fanta cans and bottles that have special QR codes printed on them. Once the code has been scanned, you'll gain access to 3 Xbox-themed interactive challenges, and completing them will unlock Xbox in-game rewards for the following titles. So you got Call of Duty Black Ops 7, which you'll get tactical orange calling card and 1 hour 2 XP level tokens. They also have something for Call of Duty Warzone, where it's going to be a tactical orange calling card and 1 hour 2 XP level token. You got Diablo 4 on here with the World Town portal. You got Forza Horizon 6. You'll be able to get a 1966 Toyota Sports 800, and then you'll get the Sports. You'll get an 800 Fanta edition that can be redeemed. You got Halo Campaign Evolved, where Master Chief fantastic Spartan armor can be redeemed after the game launches. And you even have World of Warcraft here, where you'll get a fantastical Goblin Wave Shredder mount and more WoW rewards. So I'm just simply saying that with Sharma in there, again, in that short span that she's been in there, man, she has really been working. And again, I understand the guy at the top. We all know that he's still in charge, but I would be remiss if I didn't say she's been doing a great job so far. I mean, they brought back FanFest. FanFest even came back. They have a contest where you can actually enter to possibly be picked up for it. I mean, they're doing a lot of good things. And I know Satya and the Dollar, he's still there in the background. We know how he gets down. And we understand that Sharma, her hands are going to be tied to a certain extent to do exactly what he is asking her to do. But again, me just looking from the outside in, I think, man, I just can't say it enough. She's doing some really, really good things over there with the brand. But what I want to do now is I want to move on to another. Let me see if I can find it. Did I get this from? It was an article that, let me see. I think AB had sent me. Let me look. This is the part where it's written, unwritten stories. Let me see. Was this it? Nah, that wasn't it. Give me 1 second, because it was a very, very interesting article. And shout out to AB for actually sending it to me. I'm going to find it because it was really, it was good. Okay, let's see. There it is. So it was this article that I got. Well, shout out to AB, but it was in Gadget that had the story. So Sony's gaming division just bought an AI startup that turns photos into 3D volumes. So the name of this company is Cinemaverse. Reading is fundamental. Hold on, let me get this together. Cinemersive. Yeah, Cinemersive. Dog, I need a second.
Move this man!
Hold on, let me get my doggone syllables together. All right, it is Cinemersive Labs. There we go. Is the company that Sony just picked up. And their claim to fame is they're actually a UK startup, and they have developing tools to convert 2D photos and videos into 3D volumes, which is very, very interesting. Now, it was another thing that was sent, and shout out to AB for this too, which kind of goes with this kind of concept of them having that kind of technology. Because also Sony is starting this service that scans people to put them in PlayStation games. Now it's saying that one lucky fan will sorta appear in Gran Turismo 7. So it says Sony just announced a truly strange initiative called the Player Base. Now this is a program to scan people's likeness and pop them in PlayStation games. The article says that's pretty wild, but potentially cool to those who have always wanted to become a weird humanoid version of Crash Bandicoot. So it says the program is ramping up slowly, and Sony has announced a contest of sorts to place one lucky fan inside of Gran Turismo 7. Though in a reduced fashion, the chosen player will get an image of their face placed inside the game as a character portrait, and will get the chance to design a logo and the exterior of a vehicle. So what I'm getting at is, it's the technology that we have today. This technology that they have with this group, the cinema, man, I don't even want to re-say the name, the Cinemersive Labs, with them having it where they can turn photos into 3D volumes, and with PlayStation actually starting up this thing where they'll be scanning people and putting them into PlayStation games. It makes me wonder, because we've heard in the past EA talk about this kind of from a different perspective, where they were more so talking about having your voice inside of a game. So when you're playing the game, the main character actually has your voice. It sounds just like you because of a certain technology that they have. So I was just curious to know, would this be something that you guys would be interested in? We know that this has always been a thing in gaming since the late 90s into the 2000s, where you would be able to, because I remember the first time I saw this, it was on PC, where you could get a camera and it would actually take a picture of your face and it would try to map it onto the character in the game. I forgot which game it was, but this was more so made way more popular when it came to like NBA 2K. You had it where you could actually take a picture of your face and put it on the character, and it never fully looked like you, but it was like, I see little small traces here and there of it being me. But what I'm thinking is, in today's climate, with today's technology, I think this could really be a thing where, okay, maybe not the whole body. Of course, we know that, well, who knows? I don't know. I mean, with the two different technologies, combining them together, maybe it could be a situation where the camera would have enough depth it would understand enough to actually put you into the game, your body type, your face, the whole nine. I'm just curious to know, would that be something that you guys would be interested in? I'm going to tell you, I would actually love for that to be the case. I mean, we have the technology where these cameras, some of them you have to show it your face in order to unlock the phone. Sometimes they got to scan your retina and your eye to open up the phone. You got fingerprints. I mean, the technology is outrageous. Even with AI, I've even tried it where I have had a picture of myself and actually said, make it in, like a Toy Story kind of art style, with the CG. And I'm like, dog, that does. Yeah, that kind of looks like I would probably look in a cartoon, in a Pixar cartoon. So the technology is there. I'm just curious to know, do you guys think it's a market for it? Like, would you rather play a game with literally your face, your voice, your body type? I know I'm going a little far with the body situation because I don't know how good it could scan, but I'm just throwing it in there just for the sake of conversation. But would that be something that you guys would be like, man, I would love for that to be the case? I mean, I know that we play games, video games, to get away from reality. We want to escape and we want to just enjoy a story. That's my main thing. I want to just enjoy the story, have a great time, enjoy myself in the world that I'm surrounded in while I'm gaming, but I do believe that maybe for some games like an RPG, maybe a JRPG, I think there are certain games where it would be nice to actually be yourself, like in the next Mass Effect. Would you like to be the main character? Would you actually like to be the actual Shepherd? Showing your face. I'm just curious to know, or would you just much rather just play the game as the character that they've already set up and, you're just going through the missions? I think it could work both ways. I think for the people that want to play as the default character, definitely let them do that, because we already have seen that in games already, even in Mass Effect. You could play as default Shepherd, or you could actually go in there and start, changing the skin tones, eye color, a scar on the face, for those people that really want to get into the character. I'm just saying, how dope would it be to actually truly be able to have yourself in the game, in an NBA 2K game? I would just absolutely love that. And I feel like we got away from that during the 360 era. After that, you didn't really hear too much. Maybe in the early days of the Xbox One with the Kinect and PlayStation 4, maybe in the earlier part of the generation. But I feel like that was a feature that was just given up on. And I'm just thinking that in today's time, I think it could be something that could be really, really dope. But I might be in the minority with that. But that's why I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and let's officially get into what we all come here for. And that is no doubt the gaming news that went down. So let's go ahead and let's move it over to an article that I got from The Gamer. So y'all know a few weeks ago, we were talking about the legend Shinji Mikami's new studio, which was named Unbound. Well, you fast forward to today, and Stellar Blade developer Shift Up has announced that they have purchased his studio. Now, Shift Up CEO Hwang Tae Kim, and pardon me if I said your name wrong, brother, he said, and I quote, "This acquisition will serve as an opportunity to deliver the best gaming experience to users worldwide and further solidify Shift Up's global development competitiveness. End of quote. So this is what I'll say about this. Now, we know that this brother over here, Shinji Mikami, this brother is a legend, an absolute legend. This guy worked on Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4. And he even had a run, I would say, over there at, give me a second, Tango Works. And we understand what happened with Tango Works. Things didn't really work out. Microsoft picked them up. They were, pardon me, underneath the Bethesda umbrella. Yeah, it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. He had the game Hi-Fi Rush. It released. People loved it. They enjoyed it. Thought it was a really, really good game. But his studio got clipped. Now, the thing is, I will say, he also had a couple of other games that released that weren't bad. I know he had that other horror game that came out, and it was okay. From what I understood, it was okay. But I just don't think he ever reached the same heights as Resident Evil. And I'm sure he's chasing that right now. I'm sure that is something that he is chasing. And if he chases it long enough, if he gets the resources from Shift Up, if he gets the budget from Shift Up, maybe he actually gets there. I think the name of the game he worked on was The Evil Within. That never reached the heights of a Resident Evil. Solid game, from what I understand. Solid. I've never played any of them, but I'm just going off of what I have heard. Decent games, but not Resident Evil level. So I am hoping that this brother is definitely going to land on his feet with his new studio. I'm sure they Shift Up. They want to be taken seriously. They want to be taken as a competitor in the gaming space. And they have a really good rapport so far off of their first game. Well, I should say their first major game, which is Stellar Blade. Beautiful looking game. Oh man, the graphics. Goodness gracious. That I'm telling you, that Unreal Engine 5. That might have been Unreal Engine 4. Man, that thing was nice looking. I have it upstairs. I mean, I still haven't opened it up, but I plan on it. I plan on getting to it. Trust me, I do. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing whatever this brother comes up with. Mr. Mikami, as I said, he's a legend. And I'm sure that, again, with the right resources and with the right partners, he can come up with something spectacular. At least I hope so. I mean, nothing is guaranteed. We just don't know. But we're hoping for the best. Let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's move into the next story that I got from Windows Central. So, last week, oh, shucks, I was having a little bit of April Fool's fun with y'all. When I was talking about Game Pass and whatnot, I know I said some things that could have possibly had y'all going. Shout out to you, C-Jack. But this week, and I want to put this out there, this week I'm being for real. So, but you know what? Before I say that, let's preference this with saying this is a rumor. Look at all these rumors surrounding me every day. So according to Redfix, it's spelled REDPHX, who is known for checking data from Microsoft's public-facing backend and regularly digs into Game Pass updates and at times has revealed changes before they appear publicly. Now, he has allegedly discovered something called Triton, called, quote, Triton, end of quote, which could be a new Game Pass program that will only include, now this is interesting, is only going to include games from Xbox Studios. Now again, we have heard Asha Sharma, she is looking for ways to change the Game Pass model to make it more affordable. So could it be a situation where they make a tier where it's just strictly Xbox Game Studios games that are on that tier? Would that be something that you guys would subscribe to? Here it is. You no longer get the third-party support. You no longer get the Red Dead Redemptions or the Grand Theft Autos or that new game coming out from Sega or Ryu Gatuka. I can't remember the name of the company, but the developer. But that Something to Heaven game that's releasing and the Expanse. Those two games going into Game Pass day and date. I mean, that is a huge W. But on this tier that they're talking about, of course, it's still a rumor, Triton, would you be okay with spending, let's just say, let's get semi-aggressive, but not crazy aggressive. Let's say on this tier, you get only Xbox games for $20 a month. $20 a month, you know that Doom is going to be there, Call of Duty, Gears of War, Halo, Forza, Fallout. I mean, the list can go on and on and on about, well, I ain't going to say on and on and on. It ain't like an infinite amount of games, but they have a nice amount of games underneath their hood right now that they could release into this Game Pass tier. Would that be enough for you? Would that be something where you would be like, you know what, for $20, that's about all I need. I get my third-party games anyway, and by the time they get into Game Pass, most of them, not going to say all, because those two that they got coming, those two look very promising. That's a huge W. But, just ultimately, for the most part, the games that I want that are third-party, I pick them up anyway, so I don't need to pay that much for these games that I'm not going to play or I own already. I would much rather have this experience. This is concentrated. This is all Xbox first-party games that are in here. That's what I want. Would that be something that you guys would say? Because for me, and y'all know I'm not really an advocate of Game Pass, but if I was to get into the Game Pass ecosystem, this would definitely be a tier that I would probably fall under 100%. Because I feel like, again, it's more concentrated. So you don't have dozens upon dozens upon dozens of games that you're shifting through trying to figure out which one should I play today. When you just have the games that are strictly coming from Xbox Studios, I feel like it's more of a curated experience, has more, I don't know, I just feel like it being more so consolidated, for the most part, and more concentrated. I think it would make for a better experience for someone like myself. And if they were to charge $20 for it, that's a hard price even for me to turn down and say no to. Because here it is, any game that you got coming out that's from your first party studio, I get to get in that service. Man, count me in 100%. I think that this would be a great idea. Of course, we know that June 7th is coming up. I don't know if Asha Sharma is going to speak. I have no idea. But I think it would be dope if they did take 2 minutes out of the conference just to say, we heard you. The price of Game Pass is a little, I don't know how they would word it, a little aggressive. For some of you, we heard you and we understand. So we want to introduce to you this new Xbox Game Pass tier called Triton, where all you have to do, well, I'm not going to say all you have to do, but where you have access to all of Xbox's first party studio games. So if you're a fan of Gears of War, if you're a fan of Halo, if you're a fan of Call of Duty, all of those games will be here. And as they will release in the service day and date for the price of $19.99 a month. I think it would be amazing. Of course, I might be in the minority as usual, but I would love to get your thoughts on if that would be a tier that you would actually subscribe to and say, darn all of the third-party support. Just give me the Xbox first-party games. That's all I need. And, oh, shucks, man, listen. I would be remiss Since we are talking about Xbox first-party games, I got to tell y'all something, man. Over the weekend, man, I think it was Sunday. No, it was Monday. I was actually playing on Monday. I start playing Senua's Saga, H-Blade 2. Oh, man. Let me tell y'all something, brothers. Man, those graphics, bro. Those graphics. What graphic he got done? Oh, man. Woo! Oh, man, Ninja Theory had those graphics going. Man, I was in these fights, these one-on-one fights. I remember hearing about these one-on-one fights. I said, this is ridiculous. Come on, man. Who wants to fight one-on-one? This is horrible game design. Until I start playing. I said, oh, my gracious. Oh, man. Oh, this is cinematography. This is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, when you see her put the sword in the side of the guy's rib, oh, man. I said, this game is nice. Now, I will say that, hold on, it ain't all great. I will say that it's not all great. Because, man, when you're trying to find your way, I'll say me. When I was trying to navigate my way around the world, man, I was getting lost. And this is the first level. I'm in trouble. I am in trouble, brothers and sisters. I was getting lost on the first doggone level, man. Trying to figure out how to get through the catacombs or whatever this stuff was. Eventually, I got through it and the story continued on. But, man, I will say that that's the one thing I don't like. The looking puzzles so far, they haven't got on my nerves yet. But I can tell, man, if the difficulty keeps going up, and up, as far as the looking puzzles, I can tell that might get a little tedious for the brother right here. Might become a little too much for me. But I will say the story has been, I don't know too much about what's going on so far. I mean, I don't want to spoil it. I mean, it's the beginning of the game, but still, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that might be picking it up. It started very, very good, though. It was a very interesting beginning to a game. It definitely has my attention. And I will say the combat, it is limiting. It's very... It's not a whole lot to the combat system. It's pretty straightforward, which is fine. It's okay. I get it. You know, it actually makes it up with the cinematography. The way it just looks so cinematic. I can deal with it for now. It's okay. It's okay. But right now, I will say, for the money I paid for it, it was well worth the money so far. You know, I'll just have to get into it a little bit deeper to see what else they do. But, man, again, those graphics. You know me, y'all. If you can get me on them graphics, you got my attention. And right now, Ninja Theory, they doggone sure got my attention. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I got from Reddit. So I know Reddit doesn't always get it right. But for some people that still believe, I mean, God dog, some people that still believe that PlayStation isn't moving away from PC, listen to this. Now, it appears PlayStation Studios has removed almost all references to PC on their official website, showing their potential shift of moving away from putting single-player games on PC. Now, when you dive into it, though, okay, because I gotta tell both sides of the story. So when you dive into it, Nixus software does still appear listing PC in its profile. But to me, that makes sense because, for one, that's what Sony bought them for, and two, online games will still be coming over to PC day and date. So it only makes sense that, look, Nixus, they bought them back in the day, a couple of years ago. We knew that that was going to be their focus and their games, multiplayer games, going over there day and date. Some people were saying, well, since they're still showing, PC over there, that means that they are still going to be coming over to PC. They were talking about the single player games. That's, of course, over on X, over on social media is where, a lot of this is taking place. But because of that, again, some people are just not believing that Sony is going to move away from PC. And, Speaking of that, though, speaking of Sony and PC, matter of fact, it was an article from Insider Gaming. Now, it was a report that came out from a former PlayStation employee. I believe his name was, hold on. I think it was Jerry Liu. I think it was spelled Liu. Louis. I know his name was Jerry Liu. I think it was Liu. Now, he was the PC planner and insights manager at PlayStation from January 2021 to June 2023. And in that time frame, he reported that in almost 2.5 years, PlayStation made 300, and I do mean $300 million off of PC. $300 million in 2.5 years. But the thing is, in that same time frame, the PS4 and PS5 combined, you know what? Hold on. You might not believe me. Hold on. Let's look this up. Let's look up this number. Now, y'all heard 300 million in 2.5 years. Over on PC is what they made. That's a boatload of money if you ask me. But what I want to do is I want to ask about PS4 and PS5 combined. So let me see if I can make this question a way that I can ask Gemini to see if I can get an answer. Let's see. Okay, I'll try it this way. I'm trying to cross-reference an article that I read from Insider Gaming about how much PC made between January 2021 to June 2023. I'm curious to know, when it comes to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, how much money did they generate in that same time frame? Hopefully it'll answer. We'll see.
Reference that Inside Gaming /Reddit discussion regarding the $300 million figure, it's helpful to look at the massive disparity between Sony's PC initiative and their core console business during that same window. The $300 million PC figure, the January 2021 to June 2023 timeframe, aligns with the tenure of Jerry Liu, a former PC planner at PlayStation, who recently disclosed that he helped the PC business unit grow from $0 to $300 million in net revenue during those 3 years. While that sounds like a lot, it is a drop in the bucket compared to the PlayStation 4 and 5 ecosystems, PS4 and PS5 revenue, January 2021 to June 2023. During that same period, Sony's Game and Network Services segment, which covers PS4, PS5, hardware, software, and PS Plus, generated roughly $65 billion to $70 billion. Here's a breakdown of the total revenue by fiscal year, FY, to give you the scale. Fiscal year period. Total PlayStation revenue, approx. Key drivers. FY 2021. April 21, March 22. Right. $24.4 billion. High PS5 demand. Late-gen PS4 software sales. FY 2022. April 22, March 23. $26.9 billion. Record-breaking hardware supply and God of War Ragnarok. Q1 FY 2023. April 23. June 23. $5.6 billion. Continued PS5 hardware momentum. The comparison PC versus console. When you stack the $300 million from PC against the console revenue for that specific 30-month window, console/network revenue, approximately $65 billion. PC net revenue, approximately $300 million. Essentially, for every 1.00 Sony made on PC during that time frame, they made roughly 216.00 from the PlayStation console ecosystem.
God darn! Man, God dog, we gotta double up. That's just nuts! $65 billion. 65 to $70 billion they made in the same time frame off of PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 versus a mere $300 million. Man. God dog. That is nuts. And y'all wonder why PlayStation can afford to take their games off of PC and not care? They like, yo, we're being held down by the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 customer. Why are we messing with these guys over here on PC? We just made $65 billion inside of our own ecosystem off of games and the sale of PSN. What we need these guys for? You know what, man? You know what? Man, shucks, man. Brother.
He was on crack. Crack cocaine. And he was a deacon. So we had to watch him when he was taking the money to the back.
Man, all I'm saying is, what the world? Why do we need your money at all? That is crack cocaine. 300 million versus $65 billion. Man!
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
Man, oh man, it is only a matter of time when you're making that kind of money on your platform. Oh, shucks. I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw that 300 million, I'd be lying to y'all if I said anything less than, wow, they was making bank. Man, they was making pretty good money on the PC. That's like 100 million a year almost that they were making. Until I see the number 65 to 70 billion off of, okay, so it covers PS4 and PS5 hardware, software, and PS Plus. Those factors generated the 65 to $70 billion. Man, if you don't get doggone PC up out of here, man. Hey, yo. Man, PC.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Man, you got to be kidding. Listen, all I can say is I don't even know if we need a word, an official word from PlayStation. The numbers speak for themselves. $65 to $70 billion. And you don't even have to pay Nixus to even make these PC ports, which costs money, which costs resources. Now, how much it costs, you know what? We can actually look up the cost. How much is the average cost for PlayStation to make a game for PC? What's the average development cost for that? I don't know if I asked it right, but we'll see. I might have to ask in a different kind of way. But it's coming up with an answer, because I would like to know how much the development cost is in order to convert the games over. It doesn't seem to be giving an answer, so I might have to Ask it in a different kind of way. Ain't no problem. How much is the development cost for PlayStation when they're porting a game over to PC?
For a massive AAA title from PlayStation's lineup, like God of War, Spider-Man, or Horizon, the development cost for a PC port typically ranges between $1 million and $5 million, while Sony...
Oh, well, I mean, wow, that's like a drop in the bucket for real. You know, $1 million to $5 million. That's still not a bad flip, though. If now again, I don't know how many games were actually over on PC at that time for them to make that $300 million in that 2.5-year slot. But if you're spending as much as up to $5 million to actually port it over to PC, that's still a big W. That's not a small number. You made $300 million. But I guess they said, man, this is not worth it. We continue to have these guys over on the console giving us record numbers. Why do we need to mess around with PC? That's chump change. Let's go ahead and let's close it in. Plus, we got Microsoft. We don't know what they're going to be doing with their next Xbox. We're hearing that it's going to be open and going to be PC on there. We don't want them having access to our games. You got the Steam machine coming. We don't want them to get access to the games. You know what? Let's just shut this doggone thing down. That's it. Finito. It's over. It wasn't worth the money anyway. But, you know, what's interesting, at $1 to $5 million, it wasn't a bad, I don't think that was a bad return on their investment. That was a darn good return. But, you know, it is what it is, though, man. Anyway, 65 to 70 billion. Don't you forget it, Jack. Let's get on up out of here, man. Let's get on up out of here. Woo, man, oh, man. That was a hot corner right there. Let's go ahead and let's move on into the next story that I got from Pure Xbox. So it's been a long time since we've heard anything from Undead Labs, and of course, that's the studio behind State of Decay 3. Well, a few days ago, we got word that in May 2026, the first playtest will begin. Now, we can turn it over to Undead Labs to get more of the information that they want us all to know about this game.
It became clear the community is survival and that we need your help. And if you've made it this far, great, because starting next month, we'll be hosting a series of alpha playtests with the community. Listen, I'm not going to spoil the surprise for you, but I can say that it will feature 4-player co-op, some new base building and resource strategies, and a whole lot of combat. If scavenging supplies in the middle of a zombie outbreak sounds fun to you, then grab your ruck, pack some mags, and head over to our website to find more information and register for a chance to be included in the alpha. If you don't get contacted for this round, don't worry. We'll keep your name on the list and have plenty of other opportunities for you throughout the year.
So yeah, finally, word has come out about State of Decay. If you definitely want to be a part of the playtest, you can go over to the website. It is called playtest.stateofdecay.com to sign up. And like he said, if they don't get you in the first wave, they'll keep your name on the list and have you go through to the second wave possibly. So yeah, if you were ever interested in the game, definitely sign up and hopefully you'll get in. Now, I'm sure that this game isn't coming out until around 2027 because this year, to be honest, Xbox is pretty stacked with Gears of War coming out last I heard this year, having Fable coming out this year, and Halo coming out this year. I mean, I understand it's a remake or whatever, but it's still another first-party game releasing. You got to give yourself some room for 2027. So I'm sure that, you know, with this test, well, they're not calling it a beta, but this play test, that I'm sure they want to get things down to a science, try to make things better, and I'm sure that this will probably release next year. I looked at some of the gameplay of the game, and I remember when they showed this off at their always call it the E3 show, but I know it's called the showcase. But they had showed it off, I think like a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I was like, dag, this game looks really darn good. And then I saw like little pieces of it in the YouTube video, little small clips of the game. I was like, oh, man, that don't quite look like what I saw, during that presentation that they showed. So that definitely got me a little, I'm not going to say nervous, because I have zero attachment to State of Decay. I've never played a State of Decay. I don't even think State of Decay would probably be my type of game per se. But when I saw those visuals from the initial gameplay trailer, I was like, dag, I might could get into something like this. But I don't know. It's more survival, things of that nature. And I know it does have a following. People absolutely enjoy the game. They love it for what it is. So it'll definitely be people there that are going to be excited to get into this. I just hope that the game looks and plays good and has a good story. That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, we'll definitely see what happens. I'm sure, like they said, next month, the playtest will be starting. I'm sure we'll be getting some word about that, a couple of words, some articles, things of that nature to give us an idea of what kind of game this is shaping up to be. So I'm very excited nonetheless that Undead Labs is at least in a position to actually show us what they've been working on for so long. Oh, I did hear, and I got to shout out the Iron Lords podcast. Shout out to those good brothers. They did say that, I think it was the director, he said that there aren't going to be any mutated animals or anything like that in the game. It was just for trailer purposes only. So don't look forward to any of that happening, any zombified animals in the wild. It was just for the trailer, just for more, cinematic flair, as it were. But let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I got from The Gamer. So it looks like Mortal Kombat and Injustice developer NetherRealm Studios have moved on to their next game because they are now, and I quote, hiring temp QA testers for our next project, end of quote. Now, the question is, now that we know that they've moved on, the question is, what's the next game on the table? Now, could it be another Injustice game? I mean, because when you think about it, and you don't even have to think hard, it's been almost 10 years since we've seen a new one. And I believe it was back in May, I think, of 2025, it was actually reported by a multiverse leaker that NetherRealm was making another one. They were making another Injustice game. So I don't know. Who knows about that? But it was also information from a previous report that NetherRealm's next game would prominently feature a story mode. Now, it was also, I would say it's also worth mentioning that one of the other requirements, of this game, of actually working on it, is, quote, knowledge of video games across multiple game consoles or PC. Pretty much meaning they want someone that understands the environment of both PC and console. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Just hearing this next game allegedly being a story-based game. I mean, we've been getting this from NetherRealm, from Mortal Kombat and Injustice. And I would really like, I mean, am I alone? Am I thinking of me wanting to see what NetherRealm could possibly do with a single-player action-adventure game? I mean, I played Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 11, I believe, where they had Spawn in it. Oh, man, I only bought it for Spawn and Rambo, pretty much the game. man, I've been wanting to spawn game for forever. And that's about the closest I'm going to get to them so far. So I definitely picked it up and enjoyed it. I thought the story was cool. I thought overall it was a good game. And y'all know I'm not really into fighting games like that at all. But I enjoyed myself with it. I thought it was a beautiful looking game. I loved the finishers, the fatalities, the stages looked good. The gameplay was good. I thought it was overall a really, really good experience. But I would just want them to work on something outside of fighting games. I would just like to see what they could do if they got the opportunity to make their own action adventure game. I mean, we see that graphically they got it, gameplay they got it, story-wise they already got it. They got 3 pillars of what could make a great game. And again, I'm not saying that the story is amazingly deep or anything like that, but it's serviceable. And I just think that if they were to kind of spread their wings and try to do something a little different outside of their wheelhouse, I think they would do great at it. I'm just curious to know, though, what do you guys think the next game is? Do you think it's Injustice? I know it cannot be another Mortal Kombat game. It can't be. Maybe Injustice is on the table. Or what if, like I said, this is possibly a new IP that they are working on? I can't wait to see what they come up with. Hopefully we won't have to wait too much longer, because I think the last DLC for Mortal Kombat, I believe it released around 2022 or maybe around 2023. So we're talking about almost 3 years ago that they had some new content come out, and they've been in a hiatus ever since. So we'll have to see what happens with this, but nonetheless, definitely can't wait to see what they're working on. Let's go ahead, though, guys, and let's get into the next story that I got from Games Radar. So this is the thing. For myself, I've never been overly excited to go out and buy a new controller, unless I had to replace one of my old ones that might have broke or something like that. But I have to say that on March 30th, right, 2026, Turtle Beach released a rematch wireless Mario and Luigi controller for $65. This thing costs $65. Now, these are some of the features. It has a 40-hour battery life, TMR, it's TMR thumbsticks. You got a mappable back buttons and a C button to open up game chat, which I think they're charging for that now. That game chat, man. Oh, man, Nintendo. Now, by the way, this is for the Switch 2, but I believe I read somewhere where this controller does work for the Switch 1. I had to reread that, so don't quote me on that. But the feature of this controller that excited me the most is the RBG lights built into the controller, where you can essentially change the presentation of the controller to a certain degree, of course. Now, the controller lights up with the Mario stars, the question box, the coins, the mushrooms, just all of the staples of a Mario game. And I find it interesting that they did release this controller when the Mario movie actually released as well, which I heard was pretty doggone good. Might have to go see it. Matter of fact, I wish I was able to see it. It's a theater that we have. It's not here in Baltimore. It's in Maryland. It's kind of on the outskirts of the city, maybe about 5 or 6 miles outside of this, maybe about 10. It's this drive-in movie theater called Benji's. And they actually had a whole thing going where they had the Mario popcorn. They had a photo op with the pipes, the green pipes and all of this stuff. Man, they had so much fanfare going on. Now, I'm not saying they just blew it completely out the water, but I thought what they were presenting was just dope. So I wish I had caught that over at Benji's. I think it's over now, but anybody from the Baltimore area, y'all know about Benji's, man. It's the only drive-through movie theater that we have, so I wish I could have been there for that. But yeah, it's just great timing, with Turtle Beach releasing this, during the time of the Mario movie. But getting back to the controller, though, this is the thing. Like I said, you can change the pattern of, the way the lights actually light up and glow, the way they blink. And again, the colors, but just so dope, man. If you want to see it, check it out on YouTube. I think you would be really, really impressed. It was just such a nice controller. But this is the thing I do want to say, though. It is licensed. It is a licensed controller by Nintendo, but you won't get the HD rumble and it won't read amiibos. Nintendo said those features are reserved only for Nintendo manufactured controllers. So Nintendo gave them the green light, but you can't get all of those features. So if that might be a deal breaker for you, then maybe this controller isn't for you. But again, just check it out. It's the wireless Mario and Luigi controller. It's a rematch wireless Mario and Luigi controller. It was cool, man. But yeah, anyway, let me move on to the next story. Man, I would probably buy that joint. If I had a Switch 2, I would buy that controller. That's how much how much I enjoyed it, man. Man, speaking of that, you know what? Hold on, before we move on to the next story. I mean, we already an hour in. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere fast. God dog. I've been dropping the ball on getting us out of here in an hour, man, last couple of weeks. But I just got in. I don't know if I mentioned this to y'all. I got my Astrobot refrigerator in my mini fridge. Oh, man, Jack, I really, really like that little mini fridge, man. Man, that's a kind of big box, too. It was a much bigger box than I was expecting. The Astrobot, I would say, is probably the size, give or take, man, of maybe like a basketball. Somewhere around in that range of being big. Because, it's Astrobot's head, so it's kind of circular. So I would say it's a nice size, though, man. And it's really, really nice. It's just something like I said, I'm just gonna keep it for pretty much, I don't know, collector's purposes and all of that stuff. I don't even know if I'm gonna, I ain't even gonna use the thing. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's just gonna probably be in my closet, sitting in a box, doing nothing.
Move this man!
I know, man. Hey, man, my apologies. But look, it was $100. I think 116 with tax. It still looks like Target has some in stock, so I would definitely recommend if you're into Astrobot and you're into the memorabilia, stuff like that, definitely pick it up, man. It's a good buy. It's solid. It's solid. But anyway, I'm going to move on into the next story, so maybe I can get us out of here in the next 15 minutes. So the next story I got this one from Gaming Bolt. Now, this is just a quick reminder. Ghosts of Yotei Legends co-op modes first raid will be available on April 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, it will be 4-player co-op that will concentrate on you and your group taking out Lord Saito, who is, I think he's the leader. Yeah, he's the leader. He's the leader, Lord Saito. I haven't played Ghost of Yotei yet, so I'm not familiar with this guy. But definitely, if you're a person that's looking forward to the 4-player co-op, just remember April 10th, it will be released. The co-op mode's first raid. So yeah, Be on the lookout for that. Let me see. I got about 3 more stories here, so I'm going to try to run through these pretty quick. So this next one I got is from Vice.com. So let's get into, we got some more rumors.
Look at all these rumors surrounding me every day.
So a new leak is claiming the Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis could be delayed until 2027. Now, this was reported by the Society of Raiders account in multiple posts on X, claiming it will release in February 2027. And even though, now this is the thing, even though this is a rumor, Society of Raiders did leak Legacy of Atlantis days before its debut at the Game Awards. So it's obvious they must know somebody somewhere that's linked to this game. So that's the new unfortunate rumor. February 2027 is possibly the new release date for Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. Let's get into some more quick news. Now, Cyberpunk 2077's PS5 Pro enhancements have been released, and if you want to get a more in-depth understanding of the 4K, what the PSSR 2.0 is really doing, Digital Foundry has a great breakdown, pretty much going over the ray tracing, the frame rate, the frames per second, all of the bells and whistles. Now I will say, with displays that have VRR, they were reaching up to 90 frames per second while maintaining high image fidelity. I don't know, man. I might have scratched that. I don't think they were really reaching 90 frames because I saw that video. I saw most of it. And they said that the PlayStation 5 Pro was going between 30 and 40 frames per second. 30 to 40 frames. Oh no, man. I think that was with ray tracing or something on. I do believe it did reach up to 60, but of course you got to turn some things on, some things off to get that. So, just check it out over at Digital Foundry if it's something you want to get a more in-depth look into. So the last story that we have here, I got from The Gamer. So people believe that one of the 2 games Naughty Dog is working on, and y'all know I love Naughty Dog, but they believe that one of the 2 games that Naughty Dog is working on is Uncharted. Now, to clarify, former Last of Us Online director Vinit Agarwal, spelled Agarwal, Vinit Agarwal. Oh, shucks. I know I butchered that brother's name. Pardon me, but he claimed they had 2 games in development. Talking about Naughty Dog, that was. On the Lance E. Lee podcast. That's where he discussed that. So, who would know better than him? What was going on at Naughty Dog when he was there. He's saying they got 2 of them in the works. Of course, we know one of them is Intergalactic, and this other one is where this rumor comes into play, because the rumor, it really grew legs when the Lost Legacy co-director Sean Eskake posted a photo of a cannon on X and captioned it, and I quote, "research," end of quote. Now, it was also rumored back in, I believe it was like 2021, he took the lead on a single player project. So this guy, he's already been around Uncharted. He's worked on Uncharted before, co-director on The Lost Legacy. He's taken photos of cannons, and this is the thing. When you look at that picture on X of that cannon, man, if it doesn't look like something straight out of an Uncharted game, I don't know what else does. So that's what got me excited. People think it's a new Uncharted. I would love to see a new Uncharted. Now, what I'm hoping, and I want to avoid spoilers here, even though Uncharted 4 is, good grief, like 8, 9 years old. I will say I'm just hoping that the game doesn't star who, when 4 ended, would be the person to probably pick up the mantle. I don't want that. I just don't. If it can't be Nathan Drake, even Sully, I'll take Sully. Even though they might have to do some tweaks. They might have to get Sully back in his day, back when he was younger. But I just don't want them to take that turn to that possible character being the main character. I don't think Uncharted would be Uncharted anymore. I think that it would lose some of its identity. I just don't want that change. But we'll see, man. It's been a long time. Uncharted 4, it wasn't my favorite Uncharted. It was kind of boring in quite a few levels, man. I was struggling getting through Uncharted at certain times, Uncharted 4, that is. I just don't, Naughty Dog to me in that franchise, and I didn't play all of 3, so I can't really count that one, but 2 seemed like that was the pinnacle. 2 was just so incredible. Uncharted 2 was amazing. That train scene, come on, man. That train scene was phenomenal. And I just don't think Uncharted 4 just didn't do it for me like that. It was a cool game. I do have the Lost Legacy upstairs. Of course, I never opened it, but I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it eventually, to see how it all ends. But yeah, I would love to see Uncharted come back if it's done in the right way, especially with these graphics, PlayStation 5 and 5 Pro graphics. Oh my gosh, it could be sensational. I'll tell you, Uncharted 4, my favorite level, I would have to say, it was probably the African level. That was amazing looking. Absolutely beautiful. When you're in the Jeep and you're driving around, that was nice. That was so doggone nice. Yeah. Well, anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week. Definitely can't wait to see what happens with Naughty Dog. We got June approaching soon, meaning E3 season is about to be in the swing in the next couple of weeks. I just can't wait to see what they have up their sleeve. Sony, Xbox, Nintendo. It's going to be a very, very exciting next couple of weeks, as we get closer to the E3 season. But again, before we wrap this up, I want to thank you, the listener, for being here, because without y'all, the show does not happen. So thank you guys so, so much. So with that being said, before we tie this thing up and put a bow on it, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So until Sunday, when we do it again, until then, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.